Hello, I'm Jack Gibbons, pianist and composer, speaking to you in my studio in the mountains of Appalachia. That's how it's pronounced here, by the way, not Appalachia, Appalachia. And it's Christmas Eve, which is a very magical time, but particularly here in this community, because they have a long-standing tradition of singing Stille Nacht, Silent Night, but they sing it in German for a very good reason. You see, the nephew of the composer of Stille Nacht emigrated here from Austria and became the doctor in this village. And he lived in a house built at the end of the 19th century. This house, the house I'm living in now, was his house. And because of his presence in the village, they began a tradition of singing Silent Night in German in his honor. And it still goes on today, every Christmas Eve. His name was Hans Gruber. His uncle was Franz Gruber. He came here because this was a German-speaking community. Helvetia was founded by German-speaking Swiss in 1869, and when he came here, German was still widely spoken. When we bought this house, I had no idea about this connection. I just noticed the house was for some reason referred to as the Old Gruber House. And only doing a bit more research did I discover that this building is on the National Register of Historic Buildings because of that. And so I was inspired to try to write carols for the local choir here. It's a community choir. Anybody can sing. I think most of the choir don't read music. And I wanted to write something that was simple, but also worth singing. And by the way, there's nothing simpler than the carol Silent Night. It's cherished all over the world. And yet if you sort of analyze it, it's very, very simple. Sometimes the simplest things are the most beautiful things. And I'm going to play you one of the carols I've written for the choir now. I'm going to play you my carol Baloo Lalo. It's a Gaelic translation of a Martin Luther poem. It's been set by many composers, including Vaughan Williams and Benjamin Britten and my friend Francis Pott. And my version is very simple, deliberately so. I'm going to play it to you on the piano because I don't have a choir here at the moment. Did you hear that choir? Well, it is Christmas Eve, so magical things can happen. That carol was written in 2017 for the Helvetia Community Choir, and as a thank you, they gave me this wonderful gift from Switzerland, a music box. And guess what it plays? I'm going to add a link at the end of this video to some performances I gave just a few days ago. It was a rather unusual and fun party celebrating my US naturalization. I became a US citizen just a few weeks ago, and Helvetia had a little party in the local hall. Of course, I chose appropriate music. I began with the national anthem, Star Spangled Banner, arranged by Rachmaninoff, who, by the way, himself became a US citizen in 1943. Actually, he applied for his citizenship in 1939. I think you'll often see that it's erroneously suggested that he became a US citizen at the very end of his life to protect his children. But in fact, when he applied to be a US citizen, he was perfectly well and had no reason to assume he wouldn't have a long and happy life, writing more music, because that was his plan. Now, having spent a lot of time performing concerts in America and around the world, he was now very keen to get back to composing. He'd already written his symphonic dances in New York, and I think had he lived, we would have seen a whole new late period of Rachmaninoff. I don't doubt it, and I don't doubt there would have been some really wonderful music. But sadly, it didn't happen. He died at the age of only 69 in 1943, just a few weeks after the US government, after 4 years, finally granted him his US citizenship. Well, at my naturalization party, as I say, I played the Star Spangled Banner arranged by Rachmaninoff. I also played my arrangement of 2 songs by Howard Arlen, Stormy Weather and Over the Rainbow. This was a gift for my dear friend Edward Jablonski, the first American who welcomed me to this country. Some may know his name from his biographies of Gershwin and Howard Arlen and Irving Berlin. He was a close personal friend of Howard Arlen and Irving Berlin and Ira Gershwin and many other people associated with American songwriting. I also played some music by Fats Waller, Gershwin, of course. I played the Rhapsody in Blue, and some of my own pieces too, which had a strong connection with this area, Solace and Appalachian Fancy. And I also played this piece. It's a rather famous transcription by Horowitz, and it was a party celebrating a rather special event in my life, and so I gave the concert in costume, as you'll see. Anyway, Merry Christmas to everybody. I hope you have a magical season, whatever your beliefs.
George Washington never could have played that song.